Describe a time you were very busy, you should say. When it happened, where were you, what did you do, and explain why you were busy.
Okay, and here's a Band-Aid response to that.
Let's hear it.
I'd like to talk about a time when I was extremely busy, which was last year during my final exams at university. It happened in May, and I was mostly at home, studying in my room every day.
Uh-huh.
I had to prepare for several difficult subjects, finish a big project, and also help my younger sister with her schoolwork. My schedule was packed from morning to night. I spent hours reading textbooks, making notes, and practicing past exam papers. Sometimes I even skipped meals because I was so focused on my studies. The reason I was so busy was because I really wanted to do well and get good grades, as it was my last semester and important for my future.
Right.
I remember feeling quite stressed and tired, but also motivated because I knew my hard work would pay off.
Sure.
Looking back, it was a tough time, but I learned a lot about managing my time and staying disciplined. In the end, I was proud of myself for handling everything and achieving good results.
Okay. Solid but innate response there for part 2. Now let's move right into the part 3 follow-ups. Still band 8 level. First question. Does technology distract people?
Yes, I think technology can distract people a lot. For example, when I'm studying, I often get distracted by notifications on my phone or messages from friends.
Mm-hmm.
Social media apps like Instagram or WhatsApp can make it hard to focus. Sometimes I plan to study for an hour but end up wasting time online.
Yeah.
So technology is useful, but it's also a big source of distraction if we're not careful.
Makes sense. Next question. How does technology help with time management?
Technology can really help with time management. For instance, I use calendar apps and reminders on my phone to keep track of my schedule and deadlines.
Uh-huh.
These tools help me plan my day and make sure I don't forget important tasks. I also use to-do list apps, which make it easier to organize my work.
Right.
Without technology, I think I would be much less organized.
Okay, part 3 question. What kind of pressure people may experience at work?
People can experience many types of pressure at work, like meeting deadlines, handling a heavy workload, or dealing with difficult colleagues. For example, my friend works in sales and often feels stressed about reaching his monthly targets. Sometimes there's pressure from managers to finish projects quickly.
Yeah, that happens.
This kind of stress can make people feel tired or even anxious.
Okay. Fourth question. Do you think children should learn through playing games or under pressure?
I think children should learn through playing games rather than under pressure. Games make learning fun and help kids stay interested. For example, my little cousin learned math by playing a puzzle game, and he enjoyed it a lot.
As an example.
If children are always under pressure, they might get stressed or lose confidence. So learning should be enjoyable, especially for young kids.
Got it. Fifth question. What are the advantages and disadvantages when people keep busy?
Being busy has some advantages, like staying productive and achieving goals. For example, when I'm busy, I feel motivated and focused.
Right, the upside.
However, there are disadvantages too, such as feeling tired or not having enough time to relax. If someone is always busy, they might get stressed or even sick. So it's important to find a balance between work and rest.
Okay, and the final part 3 question for this Band 8 round. Are you often busy?
Yes, I'm often busy, especially with my studies and helping at home. Most days, I have classes, assignments, and sometimes I help my mom with chores.
Sounds like it.
Sometimes it feels overwhelming, but I try to manage my time by making a daily plan. I like being busy because it keeps me active, but I also try to take breaks when I can.
Okay, great. So everyone listening, you've just heard a full sequence, part 2 and part 3, answered at a Band 8 level.
Right. You get a good feel for the fluency, the vocabulary range, the grammar.
Now, we're going to do the exact same thing, but this time you'll hear Band 9 responses. So listen closely for the differences. Same part 2 question again. Describe a time you were very busy, you should say. When it happened, where were you? What did you do? And explain why you were busy.
And here's the band 9 response.
Let's hear it.
I'd like to share an experience when I was exceptionally busy, which was during my internship last summer.
Okay, exceptionally busy. Noted.
Well, it was around July, and I was working at an IT company in the city. My main responsibility was to assist with a major software project that had a tight deadline.
Tight deadline.
Every day, I would arrive at the office early and spend long hours coding, attending meetings, and troubleshooting technical issues.
Right. Troubleshooting.
On top of that, I was also enrolled in an online course to improve my programming skills, so my evenings were filled with assignments and video lectures.
Wow, really piling it on.
The reason I was so busy was because I wanted to make a good impression at my internship and also keep up with my personal learning goals.
Okay.
I remember feeling exhausted, especially on days when problems came up unexpectedly.
Yeah.
But I was also excited because I was learning so much.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, that period taught me a lot about prioritizing tasks and working under pressure.
Key skills there.
Although it was challenging, I felt a great sense of accomplishment when the project was completed successfully, and my manager appreciated my hard work.
Nice ending. You can already feel a bit more, I don't know, depth, maybe.
Yeah, complexity and precision, I think.
Okay, let's move into the part 3 questions again, this time with the band 9 responses. First one. Does technology distract people?
Absolutely. Technology can be a major source of distraction. With constant notifications from social media, emails, and messaging apps, it's easy to lose focus.
Major source. Yeah.
For example, I sometimes intend to check one message but end up scrolling through news feeds for half an hour.
We've all been there.
However, if used mindfully, technology can also be a powerful tool. The key is to set boundaries, like turning off notifications while working, to minimize unnecessary distractions.
Mindfully set boundaries. Good vocabulary. Okay, second question. How does technology help with time management?
Technology is incredibly helpful for managing time efficiently. Digital calendars, reminder apps, and productivity tools allow us to schedule tasks, set deadlines, and track progress.
Incredibly helpful productivity tools.
For instance, I use Google Calendar to organize my week and Trello to manage project steps. These tools help me prioritize and ensure nothing falls through the cracks.
Ugh, nothing falls through the cracks. Nice idiom.
But leveraging technology, it's much easier to stay organized and meet both personal and professional goals.
Leveraging technology. Great phrase. Okay, third question. What kind of pressure people may experience at work?
In the workplace, people often face pressures such as tight deadlines, high expectations from supervisors, and the need to balance multiple projects.
High expectations, balance multiple projects.
For example, during my internship, there were times when unexpected technical issues had to be resolved quickly, which was stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, the pressure to perform well and stand out among colleagues can lead to anxiety. Managing these pressures requires good communication and stress management skills.
Stand out among colleagues. Anxiety, more specific than just stress. Okay, fourth question. Do you think children should learn through playing games or under pressure?
I strongly believe children learn best through play rather than pressure. Educational games foster creativity, problem solving, and teamwork in a relaxed environment.
Foster creativity, problem solving, teamwork. Nice.
For example, my niece improved her English vocabulary significantly by playing word games on a tablet. When children learn through play, they're more engaged and retain information better.
Retain information better.
Pressure, on the other hand, can lead to anxiety and a dislike of learning, which is counterproductive.
Counterproductive. That's a good one. Okay, fifth question. What are the advantages and disadvantages when people keep busy?
Staying busy can be highly beneficial as it boosts productivity and gives a sense of purpose. For instance, when I'm busy with meaningful work, I feel motivated and fulfilled.
Boosts productivity, sense of purpose, motivated and fulfilled. Lots of good stuff there.
However, being constantly busy can have downsides, such as increased stress, burnout, and less time for relaxation or family.
Burnout, yeah.
It's important to strike a balance and ensure there's time for rest and personal well-being alongside work.
Strike a balance, personal well-being. Very good. And the final part 3 question, band 9 response. Are you often busy?
Yes, I tend to keep myself quite busy, balancing studies, part-time work, and personal projects.
Tend to balancing.
For example, last month I was preparing for exams while working on a group assignment and volunteering on weekends. While it can be overwhelming at times, I find that staying busy helps me stay organized and focused. I do make sure to schedule downtime to recharge and avoid feeling burnt out.
Downtime to recharge, avoid feeling burnt out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've heard both sets now. What do you pick up on straight away?
Well, the difference is pretty clear, isn't it? It's not just one thing.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not. For me, the band 9 answers just felt richer, more detailed maybe.
Exactly. Let's break down the language a bit. If we look back at the band 8 responses, the grammar is generally solid, you know?
Yeah, they use past simple like, it happened in May, and past continuous, I was studying. That works fine for telling the story.
Right. Those basics are there. And linking words and, because, but, so, they connect the ideas okay. Functional, yeah. And some decent vocabulary too, like extremely busy, schedule was packed.
Focused on payoff, managing my time, staying disciplined. These are all good, useful phrases.
Source of distraction for technology, keep track of, for schedules, monthly targets at work. They cover the points.
Lose confidence, feeling productive, but also sometimes overwhelming. It's competent communication.
Definitely band 8 level. But then you hear the band 9.
And it's just elevated, isn't it? The grammar is still accurate, but the sentences often feel more complex, more varied in structure.
Yeah, and the vocabulary is where you really see a jump. It's more precise, more nuanced.
Absolutely, like swapping extremely busy for exceptionally busy. It just sounds a bit more sophisticated.
Or tight deadline, instead of just, say, a soon deadline. Troubleshooting technical issues is much more specific than facing problems.
And little phrases like, on top of that, adding information smoothly, or aiming to make a good impression and keep up with goals.
It shows a better command of idiomatic language, too, like prioritizing tasks and working under pressure.
Feeling a great sense of accomplishment, having work appreciated, it adds more color.
And in the part 3, answers too. Major source of distraction, not just a big distraction.
Using technology mindfully, needing to set boundaries to minimize unnecessary distractions.
That's much more specific advice.
And things being incredibly helpful, using productivity tools, making sure nothing falls through the cracks.
That idiom again, yeah. It
Wait,
sounds so naff.
Leveraging technology is another strong one.
In the work context, talking about high expectations, the pressure to stand out among colleagues leading to anxiety. Again, more precise than just stress.
Right. And for the children learning question, foster creativity, problem solving, teamwork in a relaxed environment.
Paints a clearer picture, and kids retain information better, pressure being counterproductive, stronger vocabulary.
Talking about being busy, how it boosts productivity, gives a sense of purpose, feeling motivated and fulfilled.
That digs deeper into the why.
And acknowledging the negatives like increased stress and burnout, the need to strike a balance for personal well-being.
It's a more holistic view.
Even the last answer, I tend to keep myself quite busy, balancing things, scheduling downtime to recharge, to avoid feeling burnt out. It's very well phrased.
So when we put it all together, the band 9 isn't just about using fancy words, is it?
Not at all. It's about precision, complexity, fluency, and using a wider range of structures and vocabulary naturally and accurately.
Yeah, the ideas are often elaborated on more effectively with better support and more nuanced expression.
Exactly. The language just does more work.
So, the big takeaway for you listening, whether you're aiming for IELTS or just improving your English, is really about pushing beyond just being understood.
It's about aiming for that greater precision, using more varied sentence structures and weaving in those more sophisticated words and natural sounding phrases.
It really makes a difference to the impact of what you're saying.
Definitely. And maybe a good way to practice this, uh, think about that question. Describe a time you were very busy.
Yeah.
Try describing it yourself, but then think about how you could swap out some words for more precise ones, maybe like we heard in the Band 9 response.
Or try using a phrase like on top of that or talking about prioritizing tasks.
Exactly. Just consciously try to elevate the language you use bit by bit. It's a practical way to build those skills.
That's a great final thought. How can you make your own descriptions richer and more precise? Something for you to think about.
Definitely.
Well, this has been really insightful, breaking down those Band 8 and Band 9 differences.
Yeah, hearing them side by side is so useful.
Hope you found it valuable too. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.